new favorite book, so all I want to do is talk about it. So let's get started. It's Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand, who also wrote Seabiscuit. And this book has literally changed my life forever. It's a story I will never forget, and so it combines all my favorite things into one book, and that's why I think I love it so much, because it's a story that I'm so interested in, but I do realize that not everyone's gonna love it because it's very dark and gruesome at parts, and I mean, it's about war, so it's gonna be sad. So it's very specific to what you like, but I think everyone can find something they like in this book. But alright, so it's about Louis Zamperini, who grew up in California, and he was a really bad kid, and then in high school he realized he needed to change his ways, and so Pete, his older brother, trains him into running, and he gets to the 1936 Olympics in Germany and runs the mile and doesn't do as well as he wants to, but because he's only 19, but I mean, he's still awesome at running. And so he also actually shakes Hitler's hand, which is crazy. And so after the Olympics, he starts training for the 1940 Olympics because he's going to be the first person to run a 4-minute mile. He knows it. And so he starts training really hard, getting ready. And then the 1940 Olympics are canceled, and so he actually never gets to that. But throughout his training, he was running like a 4:06 mile, so he was going to do it. It just didn't work out, which was so sad. So after the world got thrown into chaos with World War II, he joins the Air Force, and so he's in this crew of about 9 men, I think, or something like that, and they fly a B-24 named Superman, and they just go on flights over little Japanese islands trying to bomb them and stuff. And then after one particularly bad flight where they got shot at a lot, Superman was like totaled. It couldn't be resalvaged, and a lot of the crew got injured. One died actually. And so after that, half of the crew had to stay home, but stay in the hospital, but the other half went on a B-29 called the Green Hornet, and they were going on a rescue mission. And so it was about 11 men, I think, and including Louis, and the Green Hornet sucked so bad. Basically all the planes did. You'll read the statistics and what she says, but so many people died just from faulty planes. More people died from faulty planes than enemy fire, which I think is ridiculous. So the Green Hornet was especially bad because soon enough the engines died and they crashed in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And the only ones to survive the crash were Louis, Phil, who ends up being his best friend, and Mac. And so they are on this raft. And that's where I want to stop talking and let people exit who haven't read it yet, because I think you should read what happens for yourself. But I'm going to keep going and keep talking, but just this is now spoilers. Basically, they survive on the raft for 47 days, and they just drink rainwater, they eat birds, and they eat sharks. They like pull in sharks from the ocean, and it's literally insane. And after 33 days, Mac dies, which is really sad. And so the 47th day comes, and the Japanese find them off the coast of this island. And so they are taken as prisoners of war now. Just when you think the worst has happened, long story short, they end up living like a year and a half in these different camps. And it's some of the coolest stuff I've ever heard of, because I've read like Holocaust stuff, like concentration camps, and I thought that was bad, but like this stuff is horrendous. Awful. I had no idea this was happening. The Japanese were so cruel to these British, Australian American prisoners of war, and it's crazy. There was especially this bad Japanese officer named the Bird, who just like picked on Louis all the time and beat him up till he passed out and would like starve him. It was really, really bad stuff to read. I would just cry. It was so bad. But somehow they survived a year and a half in these camps, and you'll have to read it for yourself all what happened, because a lot did. They meet a lot of different people. A lot of really brave things happened, resilience, strength, everything. It was amazing. And so after a year and a half, though, Hiroshima happened with the atomic bombs and stuff, and so obviously the Japanese weren't doing too well. So the Americans came and they got rescued, and they go back home. Lewis gets married to Cynthia, and then post-traumatic stress syndrome or something, I think that's what it's called, hits him, and he turns to alcohol, and his life just goes downhill. He sees the bird reoccurring in his dreams, and it's awful. And so Cynthia threatens on divorcing him, and that's when Billy Graham comes into town, and he's an inspirational Christian speaker, and so they go and see him, and that's when Lewis gives his life to Christ, and after that his life turns around, and he becomes an inspirational speaker, and he is still living. I think he's 95. He was recently on the Jay Leno show, which I'm so sad I missed. He was on like a couple weeks ago. And so, yeah, and they show like pictures of him skateboarding at like age 92, and it's crazy. So, he's my hero now. He survived so much, and he's still happy, and I can't believe that. You'll have to read what he goes through because it's absolutely incredible, and it's unbelievable. So, Laura Hillenbrand also does a really, really good job of writing it. It took her 7 years, I believe, to write this book, and you can definitely tell because she has a lot of facts in it, and she did a lot of research for this book, and it totally shows. And I just think it's my favorite book ever. So, more than anything, I recommend this book because it will change your life, and it's crazy. I cried so much in this book. It's so sad, yet like I couldn't put it down. It took me 2 days to read this book. I'm gonna reread this and reread this for forever, and I'm always gonna have it because it's like my favorite book now. So if anyone asks, that's what it is. Please pick it up. Please do yourself a favor and read it. I think that's all I had to say. I could talk on for 30 minutes, but I don't want to. Also, it's my best friend Mackenzie's birthday today, so happy birthday. And yeah, I'm going to take a little break from reading right now because that was really like emotionally draining, but I'll see you guys in my next video whenever that comes out, and I hope you have a great day, and come back sometime. So yeah, bye guys!